Melissa Majchrzak has a dream job. She's an NBA photographer. Her award-winning photographs are viewed by millions worldwide. She's also the first female photographer in NBA history and will be starting her 25th season. She's covered multiple All-Star games and the NBA Finals. But this dream job is more than it seems. Melissa's been smashed, kicked, and cut sitting on the baseline. She's hurt her neck. She's been concussed. There is a lot of work that goes into photographing an NBA game at the highest level. Melissa was kind enough to let us follow her through a typical game and document what goes on behind the scenes. She arrives at the Delta Center at 12:30 p.m., hours before the 7 o'clock tip-off. She unloads bag after bag filled with cameras, lenses, lighting gear, and computer equipment.
It's a lot. It's a lot of equipment to drag around and not like necessarily a spot to store it. It's like I'm always going on vacation. I have suitcases with me every time I travel. And people just ask, where are you going? And I'm like, to work. I'm going to work.
You might think that an NBA photographer would be taking all of their photos from their courtside position right under the basket. But Melissa's work actually starts high above the court, up in the rafters of the Delta Center, the catwalk. Melissa checks her lighting system, a set of high-end flash units that freeze the action.
The kind of a nice angle right here.
She also looks for angles that might work to mount remote-controlled cameras.
It's usually at the beginning of the day, it's a quick up there, but after the game, you can be stuck up there a little longer. You know, once you come down from the catwalk, you have to run the cords out to the court that carry the power for the lights and connect them to there. So you got that happening on each end of the basket. And then it's using Pocket Wizards to set up the frequencies for the lights and the remote cameras. So that's why we run the cord from the back out to the court. And then that is all connected in one great big circuit also in the catwalk as well. The remotes are a glass remote, so you're getting that through the basket. So it's anchored up there. And then right now I'm running one from the cutout down below that shoots upwards. That would be where the Anthony Edwards shots came in. And then I do have a side pull remote. So it's on the stanchion on the side that goes down the basket. And then one off to the side of that's up in kind of in the stands on the camera platform. You get a new player that comes in, we have to update like a blue portrait. So that's just like quickly set up in we set that up in the back hallway. And then, you got the lights in the hall. So it's even bringing in more equipment on those days. And then the players roll in and, that was right during player arrivals, which is super important as well because everybody want to see what the players are wearing on game days. So yeah, it's interesting to see the guys come in and the dress and everything like that. And that's what the fans want to see. They want, like fashion is such a thing. It was really fun when we had Jordan Clarkson, because it was always anticipating and he would always make it on league fits and different things like that. So yeah, when the buses arrive, the players come in, and there's usually 3 buses. So it's usually about an hour of my day is waiting just for players to arrive at the arena.
Narrator here. I'm Trent Nelson, a Tribune photographer. Let me take a moment to explain the equipment a photographer like Melissa has when she's out on the court covering the game. She's going to be sitting on the floor along the baseline, just a couple of feet away from the action. She'll typically have 2 cameras with her. One has a wider lens to photograph the action at the close end of the court. The other camera has a telephoto lens to zoom in on the far side. No matter which camera she's looking through, when she fires a shot, all of her remote cameras will also go off. This gives her multiple angles of every moment. She's also shooting with flash units mounted up in the catwalk. This means she's making single exposures and has to wait a few seconds in between every shot. This technique requires ridiculously fast reflexes and timing that very few professional photographers possess. To see what this looks like, here's a sequence of photographs that I made, and you'll see when Melissa's flash goes off, right at the peak moment.
Pre-game is always, just in general, I'm kind of looking at telling the story. So Jordan Clarkson just came back. And so, he's going to go and interact with our team, say hi to the players and stuff like that. So it's always kind of keeping just in the back of your head, like, what moments should you be anticipating, So if you have like a key NBA player coming in, a LeBron or a Steph, or you just want to get them warming up in general, and just archive that.
What is there to say about the game other than, that seems like you're covering the game, right?
It's telling the stories. I think why, we love it is because, you're anticipating it, right? It's not a typical event. For example, if you're photographing a wedding, that a bride is coming out, they're walking up, stuff like that. But for, sports, it's, looking for moments, looking for player interacting. We have some guys on the team right now that, will kind of talk to the other bench, which is kind of fun. Mm-hmm. And so it's looking for those moments to kind of tell the story in between the game action. So I've actually been just looking at different ways of shooting, lower angles, or like if the referee, when we go to a timeout, the referee puts the ball down, like I try to shoot low with the ball in the foreground and the visiting team drops out in the background, and just looking for different unique artistic ways to shoot it. At the beginning of the game, taking everything out. At the end of the game, you got to put it all away, so you have to take all the cameras down. So it's not just a camera, it's the safety chains along with the magic arms, the pocket wizards, everything. And then you have to wrap the cords back up under the bleachers. So what people think is, showing up at 5 p.m. and getting out at 10 is really, the day is more like noon or 1, until midnight. And then after the game, if something isn't working and you need to fix it, you can be there so much later, just trying to, work through issues and how you can get it. So it's not like hopefully you have it dialed in by the next game. I go home, I have 2 little dogs, I hang out with them, and you try to, unwind and relax because you're just had, 4 hours of high intensity sports, fans screaming, and you just can't go home and just go to bed. I think you experience that as well, don't you? It's like you go home, you maybe eat a late night snack, and then you just hope that you didn't book anything the next morning at 8 a.m. So you have to get up at 6,